My cousin framed me for stealing jewelry, then she got engaged to my boyfriend. I, 24F, never thought I'd be writing one of these posts, but I need to get this off my chest. This all happened over the past year, and I'm still trying to process everything. It feels like my life turned into some kind of soap opera, and I never saw it coming. Let me start from the beginning. My cousin Ellie, 25F, and I were always close growing up. Our moms are sisters, and we lived just a few blocks away from each other. We went to the same schools, had many of the same friends, and spent nearly every weekend together. People often mistook us for sisters because we even looked similar. Both of us have long brown hair and the same smile. As kids, we were inseparable. I have so many memories of us playing in her backyard, making up games and secret languages that only we understood. We built blanket forts in my basement during sleepovers and stayed up way too late watching movies we probably shouldn't have been watching. Every summer, our families would rent a cabin by the lake, and Ellie and I would spend hours swimming, catching frogs, and exploring the woods. Those were some of the best days of my childhood. Things started to change when we hit high school. Ellie began to get jealous whenever I accomplished something. If I got better grades, made the volleyball team, or got asked to a dance first, she would become distant and cold. I tried talking to her about it, but she would deny anything was wrong. I figured it was just normal teenage stuff, and we'd grow out of it. I remember one specific incident during sophomore year when I was chosen for the lead in the school play. Ellie had auditioned for the same part. When the cast list went up, I was excited but also worried about how she would react. Sure enough, she avoided me for a week afterward. When she finally started talking to me again, she made little comments about how I only got the part because the drama teacher liked me better, not because I was more talented. It hurt, but I brushed it off because I valued our friendship too much to make a big deal about it. After high school, we both went to different colleges, and I thought the distance would help. We still saw each other during breaks and holidays, and things seemed better between us. We'd text and call occasionally, and our relationship felt more balanced. I went to State University to study marketing, while Ellie attended a private college about 3 hours away for business administration. During those college years, we'd catch up during winter and summer breaks, sharing stories about classes, parties, and relationships. The space seemed to help our friendship. When we both moved back to our hometown after college, I was actually excited to rebuild our friendship. I had landed a job at a local marketing firm, and Ellie was working as an assistant manager at a retail store. We started having weekly coffee meetups and occasional movie nights like old times. For a while, it felt like we had outgrown the competitive dynamic from our teenage years. That's when I met Jake, 26M. We matched on a dating app, and from our first coffee date, I knew there was something special about him. He was thoughtful, funny, and we shared so many interests. He worked as a graphic designer at a company downtown, and his creativity and passion for his work was really attractive to me. After a few months of dating, I introduced him to my family, including Ellie. Everyone seemed to like him, especially my parents. Ellie was polite but quiet around him at first. Our first date had been at a small coffee shop downtown. Jake was 10 minutes late and apologized profusely, explaining that he had been helping an elderly neighbor carry groceries up the stairs. I remember thinking that was either the truth or the most creative excuse I'd ever heard for being late. We ended up talking for 3 hours, closing down the coffee shop. He told me about his dreams of starting his own design studio someday, and I shared my hopes of eventually becoming a marketing director. We discovered we both loved the same obscure indie band and had even attended the same concert 2 years earlier without meeting. As Jake and I got more serious, I noticed Ellie started showing up more often when we were together. She'd accidentally run into us at restaurants or suddenly need my help with something when she knew I was with Jake. She would text me asking where I was, and then 30 minutes later, she'd appear at the same place, acting surprised to see us. At first, I was happy that my cousin seemed interested in getting to know my boyfriend. I didn't think much of it at the time. Looking back, I should have seen the warning signs. I remember telling my best friend Megan that I thought it was a little weird how often Ellie would show up, but Megan suggested that maybe Ellie was just lonely or missed spending time with me. I accepted that explanation because I didn't want to believe anything negative about my cousin. About 8 months into my relationship with Jake, my aunt, Ellie's mom, hosted a big family dinner at her house. She had recently inherited some jewelry from my grandmother, including a valuable antique diamond necklace that had been in our family for generations. The necklace had been passed down through the women in our family since the 1920s and was worth quite a bit, both financially and sentimentally. My grandmother had always said that the necklace would go to the first granddaughter to get married, but since she passed before any of us were engaged, my aunt became its temporary keeper. During dinner, she proudly showed it to everyone. It was beautiful, a delicate silver chain with a stunning diamond pendant surrounded by smaller sapphires. Everyone took turns admiring it, and I remember Ellie holding it for an especially long time, staring at it intensely. At the time, I thought she was just appreciating its beauty and history. The evening went well, with everyone enjoying the food and catching up. My aunt had prepared my grandfather's famous lasagna recipe, and there was plenty of wine flowing. Jake came with me and charmed my entire family as usual. He helped my uncle fix a wobbly chair leg and showed my younger cousin some magic tricks he knew. Ellie seemed to be in a great mood too, laughing and talking more than usual. After dinner, several of us helped clean up while others relaxed in the living room. There were about 15 people in the house, moving between rooms. The next morning, I got a frantic call from my aunt. The diamond necklace was missing. She had put it back in its box after showing everyone and placed it in her bedroom drawer. When she went to look at it again the next day, it was gone. She was hysterical, thinking she had lost a precious family heirloom. She called everyone who had been at the dinner, asking if anyone had seen it or accidentally taken it. My first thought was that it must have been misplaced in all the commotion of the dinner party. I offered to come over and help search the house, thinking it might have been moved or fallen somewhere. My aunt thanked me but said she had already turned the house upside down looking for it. A few days later, Ellie called my mom. Her voice was shaking as she claimed she had seen me go into my aunt's bedroom during the party. According to her, I had been acting suspicious and spent too long in there alone. My mom defended me immediately, saying I would never steal anything, especially not a family heirloom. But the seed of doubt had been planted. I was shocked when my mom told me about the call. I had gone to the bedroom, but only to use the attached bathroom because the main one was occupied. I wasn't in there more than a few minutes, and I certainly hadn't taken anything. I couldn't believe Ellie would suggest such a thing. Word spread quickly through the family. My aunt's sister called my grandparents, who then called my other aunts and uncles. Soon, my aunt called me directly, asking if I had borrowed the necklace. The way she emphasized borrowed made it clear she thought I had stolen it. I was shocked and hurt that she would even consider that I might have taken it. I denied it completely and reminded her that I had been helping in the kitchen for most of the evening, which several others could confirm. But Ellie's story kept changing and expanding. She started telling people that she had actually seen me put something in my purse. Then she claimed I had been talking about how much the necklace would be worth if sold. She told my uncle that she had overheard me telling Jake that the necklace could help with our rent for several months. None of it was true, but some family members began to look at me differently. The worst part was that Jake was there during the dinner, and Ellie made sure to tell him her suspicions too. At a small family gathering the following weekend, I could feel the tension. Some relatives barely spoke to me, while others went out of their way to watch their valuables when I was nearby. My younger cousin Zoe, who was only 12, asked me directly if I had taken the necklace because she had heard the grown-ups talking about it. I was humiliated and left the gathering early in tears. Jake assured me he didn't believe her accusations, but I could tell he was uncomfortable with the whole situation. He started asking questions like, "Why would Ellie make this up?" and "Have you and Ellie had problems before?" It felt like he was trying to make sense of it all but was beginning to have tiny doubts. Our relationship became strained as the family drama intensified. Some relatives took my side, others believed Ellie, and family gatherings became tense and awkward. My parents stood firmly behind me, which was a comfort. My dad even called my aunt and told her she was making a huge mistake by entertaining these accusations against me. This created a rift between the siblings that made everything even more uncomfortable. About 3 weeks after the dinner, my aunt called everyone with news. The necklace had been found in a decorative box in her guest room closet. She suggested that she must have put it there herself and forgotten. She apologized for the confusion and said we should all move on. But the damage to my reputation had already been done. Some relatives still gave me side eyes at gatherings, and I overheard whispers suggesting that perhaps the necklace had been returned secretly after the theft became known. I tried to be happy that the necklace was found, but I was still hurt and angry about being accused. Why would Ellie do this to me? What had I done to deserve this kind of treatment from someone who was supposed to be like a sister to me? I confronted Ellie, asking her why she would accuse me of stealing. We met at the same coffee shop where we used to have our weekly catch-ups. She acted innocent, claiming she was just sharing what she thought she saw and was trying to help. She even had the nerve to suggest that we should just forget about the whole thing since the necklace had been found. I tried to explain how much her false accusations had hurt me and damaged my relationships with family members, but she brushed it off as if it wasn't a big deal. "Everyone knows you didn't take it now," she said with a shrug. "Can't we just move past this?" Her casual dismissal of the pain she had caused made me realize that something had fundamentally changed in our relationship. The cousin I grew up with, who I shared so many memories with, seemed like a stranger to me now. After this incident, Jake and I started having more arguments. He said the family drama was too much stress, and he needed space to think. We had been talking about moving in together, but now he wanted to put those plans on hold. He claimed he was tired of being caught in the middle of family issues. After a particularly heated argument where he suggested that maybe I was overreacting to the whole situation, we decided to take a short break from each other, just 2 weeks to clear our heads. I was heartbroken but agreed it might help us reset. During our break, I focused on work and spent time with friends who knew me well enough to know I would never steal from family. I started going to a yoga class to help manage my stress and anxiety. I avoided family gatherings where Ellie might be present. I missed Jake terribly and counted the days until our break would be over. I had bought him a small gift, a book by his favorite author, to give him when we reunited. The day before Jake and I were supposed to meet and talk about getting back together, I got a text from my cousin Katie, Ellie's younger sister. Katie was 19 and had always looked up to both Ellie and me. We weren't as close as Ellie and I had been, but we had a good relationship. Attached to her text was a photo that made my heart stop, Jake and Ellie at a restaurant together, holding hands across the table. They were at La Bella, an Italian place that Jake and I considered our restaurant. Katie's message said, "I thought you should know. They've been seeing each other for weeks. I'm so sorry." I felt like I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. I called Katie immediately, and she confirmed what the picture showed. She had seen them together multiple times and had finally decided I needed to know the truth. She told me that Ellie had sworn her to secrecy, but she couldn't keep quiet anymore after seeing how hurt I had been by the necklace accusations. I couldn't believe it. I called Jake immediately, but he didn't answer. I then did something I'm not proud of. I drove to his apartment and waited outside. After about an hour, I saw them pull up in his car. They were laughing as they got out, and then, right there in the parking lot, they kissed. It wasn't a friendly kiss, it was the kind of kiss that told me everything I needed to know. They hadn't seen me sitting in my car across the lot, and I watched as they walked into his building together, his arm around her waist. I drove home in tears, feeling betrayed by two people I had trusted completely. I couldn't understand how Ellie, someone I had shared my childhood with, could do this to me. Or how Jake could move on so quickly, especially with my own cousin. I spent the night alternating between crying and feeling numb. My mom came over with ice cream and sat with me, not saying much but just being there, which was exactly what I needed. The next day, Jake finally called me back. Instead of apologizing, he told me he had unexpectedly developed feelings for Ellie during our break and that they had been spending time together. He claimed nothing physical happened until after he and I took our break, but I didn't believe him. His voice had that defensive tone he always got when he wasn't telling the whole truth. When I asked how long they had been talking behind my back, he became defensive and said their connection was immediate and undeniable. He actually had the nerve to say that maybe it was meant to be, and that I should be happy for them. He said something about how sometimes people come into our lives for a reason, even if that reason isn't clear right away. It sounded like a line from a bad movie. I hung up on him. I later learned from mutual friends that Jake and Ellie had been texting for months before the jewelry incident. They had met up for coffee several times when he told me he was working late or meeting friends. My friend Megan admitted that she had seen them together once at a cafe across town but hadn't said anything because she wasn't sure what was going on and didn't want to jump to conclusions. The betrayal went deeper than I initially thought. About a month after discovering their relationship, my mom called to tell me that Ellie had announced her engagement to Jake on social media. Not even 3 months after we broke up, they were planning a wedding. The post showed Ellie's hand with a small diamond ring, nothing fancy, but the caption read, "When you know, you know. He's the one." The post was filled with comments from family members congratulating them, including some who had sided with me during the necklace accusation. It felt like everyone had forgotten how Ellie had tried to destroy my reputation. I blocked both of them on all social media platforms, but it didn't stop mutual friends and family from sending me screenshots or telling me about their latest posts. Each update felt like ripping open a wound that was trying to heal. They had already set a date, just 6 months away. They were moving fast, as if trying to outrun the messiness of how their relationship began. I was devastated and fell into a deep depression. I withdrew from family events and lost touch with relatives who seemed to have accepted Ellie and Jake's relationship without question. I stopped going to our regular family Sunday dinners. I turned down invitations to birthday parties and holiday gatherings. I called in sick to work more times than I should have. Some family members reached out to check on me, saying they thought the whole situation was wrong, but many just moved on as if nothing unusual had happened. My parents were my strongest supporters. They refused to attend any events where Jake and Ellie would be present, which caused some tension with extended family. My dad told my aunt that she should be ashamed of how her daughter had behaved, which led to a heated argument and more family division. I felt guilty for being the cause of so much family conflict, even though I hadn't done anything wrong. Then came the twist that changed everything. My aunt was reorganizing her closet about 6 months after the necklace incident and found a small cloth bag tucked behind some hat boxes. Inside was her missing diamond earring that had disappeared years ago, and a journal. It was Ellie's diary from when we were teenagers. The cloth bag had fallen behind her storage boxes, apparently forgotten by Ellie when she still lived at home. My aunt, curious about why Ellie would hide her journal there, flipped through it. What she read disturbed her enough that she called my mom immediately. The journal contained pages and pages of Ellie writing about her jealousy toward me. She had written detailed plans about how to take things from me that she felt I didn't deserve. There were entries about sabotaging my friendships in high school and even one about how she had deliberately ruined my prom dress the night before by spilling bleach on it, something I had always thought was an accident. There were entries about how she had told lies to a boy I liked in junior year, convincing him I had been saying negative things about him. There was an entry about how she had deleted an important school project from my computer when I stepped away, forcing me to redo it at the last minute. All these incidents I had attributed to bad luck or my own carelessness had actually been Ellie's deliberate actions. Most shocking was a recent entry that my aunt found slipped between the pages, a note where Ellie admitted to hiding the necklace herself to frame me and get me out of the way, so she could have Jake. She had written about how she had been attracted to Jake from the first time I introduced them and felt that she deserved him more than I did. The note detailed how she had taken the necklace during the dinner when everyone was distracted, hidden it temporarily, and then found it weeks later after her plan had worked. My aunt was horrified. She immediately took photos of the journal entries and shared them with my mom, who showed them to me. I felt vindicated but also deeply hurt that Ellie's jealousy and manipulation had gone so far. It was one thing to suspect she had framed me, but seeing it confirmed in her own handwriting was overwhelming. My aunt confronted Ellie, who first denied everything but eventually broke down and admitted what she had done when shown her own handwriting as evidence. Word spread through the family quickly. Many relatives who had doubted me called to apologize. Some sent flowers or cards expressing their regret for believing Ellie's lies. My uncle, who had been particularly cold to me after the accusation, showed up at my apartment with tears in his eyes, asking for forgiveness. It was a relief to have my name cleared, but it also brought back all the pain of the original betrayal. Jake, however, stood by Ellie. When confronted with the truth about the necklace setup, he said it didn't matter anymore because he and Ellie were in love. He actually suggested that maybe her actions were wrong but understandable, given how strongly she felt about him. He told my cousin Katie that sometimes people do crazy things for love, and that he had forgiven Ellie for her mistake. His response showed me what kind of person he truly was, and I realized I had dodged a bullet. 3 weeks after the journal discovery, Ellie reached out to me, asking to meet. Against my better judgment, I agreed to see her at a public coffee shop. I was nervous about facing her, knowing everything she had done, but I also felt I needed closure to fully move on. She arrived looking nothing like the confident person who had stolen my boyfriend. She seemed smaller somehow, nervous and fidgety. Her usual perfect makeup was minimal, and her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She could barely meet my eyes as she sat down across from me. She handed me an envelope containing a written apology. Her hands were shaking as she passed it to me. The letter was 5 pages long, detailing everything she had done over the years. She admitted to everything: the necklace setup, pursuing Jake behind my back, and years of jealousy and sabotage. She claimed she was getting therapy and wanted to make amends. She said she had always felt like she was living in my shadow and had developed unhealthy ways of dealing with her insecurity. She talked about childhood traumas and patterns she was trying to break. I listened silently as she spoke, feeling nothing but a strange emptiness where my anger had been. When she finished, I simply told her that I accepted her apology but couldn't forgive her yet. I told her I hoped she would get the help she needed but that I couldn't have her in my life anymore. I said that perhaps someday, after a lot of time and healing, we might be able to have some kind of relationship again, but for now, a clean break was best for both of us. She cried as I left the coffee shop, but I felt a weight lifting from my shoulders. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe freely again. In the months that followed, I focused on healing. I started therapy to process the betrayal and rebuild my self-confidence. My therapist helped me understand that none of what happened was my fault and that Ellie's actions reflected her issues, not my worth. I reconnected with supportive family members and strengthened friendships that had been neglected during my relationship with Jake. I joined a hiking group and discovered I loved being outdoors. I even started dating again, cautiously but optimistically. As for Ellie and Jake, their engagement didn't last. About 2 months after our coffee shop meeting, Jake broke things off. According to family gossip, he had become increasingly uncomfortable as more details about Ellie's deception came to light. Some family members said he was worried about what else she might be capable of. Others suggested he had started seeing someone new at his workplace. Whatever the reason, the wedding was cancelled, and their social media relationship status changed overnight. Jake tried to contact me afterward, sending texts saying he had made a mistake and asking if we could talk. He left voicemails saying he missed me and that breaking up with me was the biggest regret of his life. He even showed up at my workplace once with flowers, but I had security escort him out. I never responded to any of his attempts at reconciliation. The man I thought I knew never existed, and I had no interest in giving him another chance to hurt me. Ellie moved to another state for a fresh start. She told the family she had found a job opportunity in Denver and needed a change of scenery. She still sends me occasional messages, usually around holidays or birthdays. Simple text saying, "Happy birthday," or "Merry Christmas," followed by, "I hope you're doing well." I read them but rarely respond. My aunt tells me that Ellie is continuing with therapy and seems to be working on herself. Part of me hopes she finds peace, but another part knows that our relationship can never be repaired. Today, a year after it all began, I'm in a much better place. I've been promoted at work and am excelling in my career. I've taken up painting as a hobby and find it therapeutic. I'm seeing someone new, someone who knows the whole story and has shown me what respect and honesty in a relationship should look like. He's nothing like Jake, quieter, more thoughtful, and incredibly supportive. Many family members have made efforts to rebuild their relationships with me, and I've forgiven those who were quick to believe the worst about me. The family necklace has been passed to another relative for safekeeping. I don't think I could look at it without remembering everything that happened. Some family heirlooms carry more than just monetary value, they can carry painful memories too. My aunt offered it to me as a sort of restitution, but I declined. Some things are better left in the past. I've learned valuable lessons through this experience. I've learned about the importance of trusting my instincts when something feels wrong. I've learned that some people can hide their true nature for years. I've learned who I can truly count on when things get difficult. Most importantly, I've learned that my self-worth isn't dependent on what others think of me or who chooses to be in my life. So that's my story. A cousin who framed me for stealing jewelry and then got engaged to my boyfriend. It sounds like the plot of a bad movie, but it was my reality. If you've read this far, thank you for listening. Writing it all out has been therapeutic. If anyone has gone through something similar with family betrayal, I'd appreciate any advice on continuing to move forward. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this post to get so much attention. Thank you all for the supportive comments. To answer some common questions, yes, most of my family is now aware of what Ellie did. No, I haven't spoken to Jake since he tried to contact me after breaking up with Ellie. And yes, the new person I'm dating knows the whole story and has been incredibly understanding. For those asking about Ellie's current status, according to my aunt, she's still in therapy and living in another state. I have no plans to reconcile with her, but I do hope she gets the help she needs. Edit 2. Some people have asked if I'm going to press charges for the false accusations. I've decided not to pursue legal action. While what she did was awful, I want to move forward with my life rather than drag this out further. The family knows the truth now, and that's what matters most to me. Edit 3. Thank you for the awards and kind messages. I never expected this kind of response. To those who shared similar stories in the comments, I've been reading them all and am so touched by your willingness to open up. It helps to know I'm not alone in experiencing family betrayal. And yes, therapy has been incredibly helpful. I would recommend it to anyone going through something similar.